Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, as well as our viewers and listeners at home. I'm opening the media briefing of the NET Joints, which is the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure. I am Major General Matapelo Peters. I'm the National Head of Communication for the SAPS, also representing the NET Joints. I'll start by introducing our principals. On my right, we have our National Commission in the center, General Fani Masemola. On the General's left is the chairperson side of the South African Police Service, Lieutenant General Musikidi, who is also the Deputy National Commissioner for Policing. We also have, as co-chairperson of the NET Joints from the South African, Major General Chalisi, who represents the Chief Joint Operations. As you may know, the NET Joint structure is chaired jointly by the South African Police Service.
Very much, General, and good evening to the viewers and the South Africans at large. Good evening to the National Commissioner of the Police, my co-chairs, members of the, and how police have been managing the situation has been effective with minimum incidents reported. To this end, the NET Joints welcomes the labor union's withdrawal of the strike and the agreement reached to continue with the wage negotiation. We are here today as the operational layer of the JCPS cluster to update the nation on the security measures we have put in place in our resolve to assert the authority of the state and, more importantly, to allay the fears of our communities amid the protest actions planned for this coming Monday. The National Joints Operational and Intelligence Structure, NET Joints, working closely with our partners and stakeholders in the respective business industries and sectors, have mobilized maximum resources to heighten police visibility with the aim of preventing and combating any form of opportunistic crime pre, during, and post the planned protest action. The respective Prof Joints have activated provincial multidisciplinary deployments and operations as of today. This is to ensure that there is no ill-intended disruptions on the plans of those who have to work, travel, or study, or perform any other business at any point during the semi-long weekend. The measures that have been put in place by Security Cluster will enable businesses and services to operate while government and other modes of transport services will be accessible to members of the public. Our operational approach in this regard is our standard 5-pillar strategy to accelerate and enhance a multidisciplinary approach to address potential and actual criminal activities. This is done through the intelligence gathering, analysis, and coordination, proactive approach, which include high visibility to police, prevent and respond to crime situations, combat approach as we enforce the law in response to any violation of law through the deployment of, amongst others, public order police together with other specialized units. In this instance, the South African National Defence Force is on standby and will only participate in the event that the situation on the ground dictates. The SANDF exercise their secondary role of supporting the South African Police Service. The reactive approach through detection and case management, communication where the nation will be kept updated, and awareness created through messaging that will enhance the safety and security of the nation. Security will also be heightened at all ports of entries, the land, sea, and air. We assure travelers into and out of the country that there is no need to panic. A word of caution to travelers that they might need to make provision for factoring in security measures that will be in place to ensure the safety and the security of anyone, including tourists. As the NAT joins, we have a joint responsibility to protect anyone in our country and their property, including members of the international community. While every citizen has a right to protest, we want to reiterate that this right must be exercised. Section 16(2) of the same Constitution further highlights that the freedom to picket does not extend to propaganda of war, incitement of imminent violence, and advocacy for hatred. Also, in line with the Gatherings Act 205 of 1993, conveners and organizers of the planned protest action must ensure that the gathering at all times proceeds peacefully and it is therefore important to note that anyone who is found to be contravening the law will be dealt with accordingly. Both the DPCI, affectionately known as the Hawks, and detectives are already addressing inquiries in relation to intimidation and incitement of violence through the use of social media. The NAT joints will not allow any barricading of the national and municipal roads, public violence, social media mobilization that is currently unfolding, incitement of violence through any platform, including social media, as well as the sharing, as well as messages encouraging damages to economic sites. We have also noted instances where supporters mobilizing for protest action has now extended into stores where our shoppers are going about their daily lives. We view such acts as not only provocative, but also as a deliberate attempt to instill fear and to bully business and shoppers into participating in the protest against their will. We caution those behind these acts to refrain, and we call upon our communities to work with us by distancing themselves from any acts of lawlessness in the best interest of our country. We call on all people in the South Africa to uphold the law and to say no to any action aimed at breaking the country's laws. We take this opportunity to recognize and appreciate our community patrollers who are also servicing as our force multipliers. Our key stakeholders, the community policing forum structures across the provinces, who are also at the forefront of advocating for law and order. On Monday, most school children will be at home. The NAT joins encourages the youth of this country not to involve themselves in any form of criminality which could lead them to obtaining a criminal record, thus jeopardizing their own ability to secure employment in future. We are encouraging our communities to report any wrongdoing and any suspicious activities to the nearest police station or by calling the Crime Stop number 08600 10 Those with access to the smartphone and or Android phones are encouraged to give tip-offs and my SAPS app. There is a dedicated team monitoring this for agent investigations. So if you see something, say something timeously to ensure that we collectively take a stand against any wrongdoing. Lastly, the NAT joins assures members of the public that enforcement of the law will be executed within the relevant prescripts to ensure stability in the country. This is our update to the country at large that there will be no shutdown. We know of a planned protest. To say there will be a national shutdown, it's rather misleading. Everything from business to services will be fully functional and operational and accessible. We are not going to allow lawlessness and acts of criminality. Those who are found to be at the wrong side of the law will be dealt with accordingly. The work of the nut joints is cut out for us, and as such, we are already on the ground and we are ready to respond to the call of duty. Members of the media, it all system goes. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General Musikiri, Chairperson of the Nut Joint. Ladies and gentlemen from the media, I will now open for questions that you can pose to the Chairperson. And we will appreciate it if the questions are based on our statement today. You will be aware that yesterday we had a briefing by the JCPS ministers. So this is in fact a follow-up to that briefing, as the nut joints is the operational structure of the JCPS. Can we start with the questions? And we know the drill. You will introduce yourself and the media house that you come from, and then pose your question. I've noted Ofense. I've noted a second hand here. Okay, for now it's only two hands. Ofense, over to you.
Thank you very much. Ofense, SAPS News. My question is just to find out on the status of this protest, as we understand that there are arguments that it's unprotected and it has not been permitted. They haven't made relevant applications for gathering and protesting. What is your stance regarding this particular? There are people in court who are saying not proper processes have not been followed in terms of applying for public gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was a second hand.
Good evening. I'm Alpha Mushwana here from Readiness. I just need a little bit more clarity as to what kinds of places will be targeted by the law enforcement. Will you be targeting malls? Which highways do you think could possibly be hotspots? I think I heard on 702 this morning, it was said that you've received intelligence information that will show you which are the hotspots. Are you able to brief us on what exactly are these hotspots? Have they been identified on Monday?
Thank you all. Is there another hand? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Good evening. It's Nico Msharo from Newsroom Africa. Two questions from my side for now. The first question is about the capacity of the Community Policing Forum, which forum members who have been brought on board to assist in this, but also there are some organizations and some individuals who might not be participating in the protest and would eventually find themselves interacting or engaging with members of society who are participating. So in terms of the plans of the SAPS, how are you going to manage those battles between committee members themselves? But also, do you have the capacity to manage the possible feud between protesters and taxi drivers themselves? So those are the two questions from my side. And also,
Thank you, General. I think the WhatsApp questions are more or less similar to those that have been posed. So I'll give over to General Musikiri to come and respond. Okay. We'll take another set of questions after the responses.
Thank you very much, members of the media. Atlanta, I think as General Peter or not, I think it has been reiterated by the organizers that they are going to protest and there is no need for them to apply for protest. I did iterated earlier on the sections of the Constitution that allows that to happen. However, with the capacity of the CPF, we do have CPF in all 9 provinces that will be participating. In terms of the numbers, we will not be in the position to say these are the numbers that we are having. That is more tactical and operational, and we will fluctuate the numbers based on the need of a particular operation or the participating province. In respect of the taxi operators, if they will be managed, I think they came out very loud and very clear that they are not going to participate in the protest on the 20th. The intelligence is an ongoing business, as indicated earlier when I was giving the 5 pillars of the nut joints approach. On a daily basis or on any operation that we undertake as the nut joints, we do not leave out. Actually, the first pillar that we focus on is to gather intelligence. So we do get the intelligence brief that then advise how the operations should be shaped and which areas to focus on. So we continuously receive intelligence brief by the intelligence communities. Did I leave any question? The SAFTU, as indicated in terms of Gatherings Act, that if you protest, you must ensure that the protest is peaceful. I think that is what is expected. There are laws in this country that indicates when and how you should behave peacefully of the law, and to discharge our duties in a very minimal, not heavy-handedly. However, if you look into the pillars of the nut joints operational approach, there is no need. However, then we'll protect even the protesters. Then we move into the 3rd leg or the 3rd phase of our deployment, which is the combating, where we deploy the next level of combat that will include public order policing, and that the situation will dictate, will then detect by investigating, respond accordingly. So there is no specific highway that we can say you must drive on this highway, but the reassurance that we are giving our communities is that everybody will be protected and will be saved for any anarchy that might prevail. Thank you.
So do they have that capacity? My new question is, from the social media intelligence monitoring system, have you picked up any possible people? Have you arrested anyone? Have you seen anything that is what being prosecuted? And also, we saw in the last unrest in this country that there were many people who were arrested by SAPS and other members of the net joint.
It's protected. Maybe I might have missed it. And a follow-up question would be, during the July uprisings, you felt criticisms for slow response and uncoordinated response to what was actually transpiring. Hence, it took about, I think, 3 days or so. What will be done differently this time to ensure that have it under control?
Thank you. We now go to our questions on the WhatsApp line. Brigadier.
Thank you, General. From Suman Naidu, a freelance journalist for Youth SA, we've got 2 questions. First question, we have seen some calls by some individuals to encourage the general public to stock up on essential food supplies this weekend, which could lead to panic buying in the event that there is sort of violence that could impact food suppliers and retailers. Does Natrans consider it necessary for citizens to stock up on food to be prepared for the worst? Second question, what role has Natrans encouraged CPF to play on Monday? What actions could they take to protect their communities? And then as well, General, we also have questions from Khawkhelo Makgolego from UFM. First question, protests take place.
Thank you very much once more. Perhaps starting with the issue of the CPF. They are not expected to take. That is police related or policing related. However, as our partners, they are our eyes and ears of the communities to report any wrongdoing for the police to respond. They are working hand in glove with the police to report any incident and to alert the police on any, with all the departments relevant. The criminal justice cluster is part by both the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation and the police. The status in respect of whether the strike is protected, according to the law, as I've outlined earlier, there is no need for protest or protesters to apply to protest. It is the constitutional right according to the law. I went further to indicate that the legal instruments as well expect from the protesters to do so within the ambit of the law and to ensure that the protest is peaceful. The protests happen daily. Why attention to this one? We give attention to any act that threatens the security of the country. You will recall that not long ago, we had a 3 months long Operation Festive Season, that with what we know, it's normally happening during that period, warranted us that we need to sit down, to plan, to gather, and to respond. With any protest that happens, we do sit down and plan, and we were just reassuring the communities based on the panic that they are going to be safe. It's our constitutional mandate as the security cluster. I reiterate security cluster because security cluster comprises of various other departments, not the police. So the police is not falling into the hands, but is discharging its constitutional mandate through the joint structure to respond and to safeguard the livelihoods of this country. Thank you. What will be different this time is that more focus and more planning and intensive planning. Not that we did not plan in 2021, but we have planned better because situation, every incident is an education. Thank you, Mataga.
Thank you very much, General. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank you for honoring our invitation and for always supporting us when we call these media briefings, as we have a joint need to keep our communities updated and informed. We thank you, and should there be any further updates or developments, we will call upon you again. We rely on you to be our conduit to convey messages to our communities and our stakeholders. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this media briefing. Brigadier Mati is here. She is for the NAT joints.
Sure, all the channels come. All right. Thank you. Actually, not at all.